welcome back to the channel today. Today's video is on how to make this beautiful dress on your screen, and I know you all have expected me to post this video. You all have waited so long for me to make a video on this dress. I'm excited to share this with you all because today's video is the pattern drafting video, and I have to divide the video in 3 sections or 2 sections because it was quite long when I was done filming the video. And guys, trust me in bringing a very detailed video for you all. So if this is what interests you, if this is what you would love to know more about, ensure to sit back there, grab a cup of coffee, grab your pen and paper, grab your pattern paper and your pattern curves. So let's get started and let's learn together.
Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you.
So we'll start with dividing our pattern paper into 2, and I'll measure what I have there, which is giving 20.5 inches, and I'll divide it into 2, which is 10.25 inches. I'll mark it down to make it in a straight line, just the way I am doing right now. So I'll make it in a straight line and use my marker pen to also make it more visible for you all. So after this, now this is the center back and this becomes the center front. So after labeling this, we'll come over to the shoulder. So towards the shoulder part, I'll mark the shoulder, which is 7.5 inches there. That's 15 inches divided by 2 will give you 7.5 inch for the shoulder. So I'll come down by 1.5 inch, which becomes the shoulder slant for the front, and also to the back I'll mark the shoulder, which is 7.5 inch. I'll come down by 1 inch for the back shoulder slant. So after this, now I'll now get our armhole depth. Our armhole depth is our bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1 or 1.5 inches depending on the size. So if you've not watched a video on how to get a perfect armhole curve, I'll link into the description box or somewhere on your screen right now, so you can go check it out to understand what I did here better. So after getting the armhole depth for the front and the back, I'll make it in a straight line just the way I am doing. Then I'll rule it. So I'm marking down the shoulder measurement there to make it in a straight line for our armhole depth. After making the straight line for the armhole depth, I'll go over to mark our vertical measurement. So I'm marking from the shoulder to the waist, which is 18 inches, shoulder to the underbust, which is 13.5 inches. Then I'll mark shoulder to nipple point, which is 10 inches there. Then I also do the same thing for this other side of the front, and I'll connect the 2 points together to make them in a straight line. I went ahead to do the same thing for the back, shoulder to the waistline, shoulder to the full length, and then I'll label them. This is the bust line and this is the under bust, this is the waistline, and for this one this is the waistline and this is the half length, or we can say is the full length of the inbuilt corset, because that's what we are drafting right now. So over to this side, so I'm just going to mark our nipple to nipple point. That's from one nipple to the other, which gave us 7.5 inch divided by 2, which will give you 3.75 inches. So that's what I marked down there, and I'll rule it down to make it in a straight line just the way I am doing. So after this, it's just for us to impute our dart, and to impute our dart we just need to come over to the waist side and mark 0.75 inch on both sides, because we are using 1.5 inch as our dart intake. So I'm marking 0.75 inch on both sides, and I'll connect it to the down part and also connect it to the upper part. Before joining our dart to the upper part, I will come down by ½ inch on this nipple point area, that's the bust line, just the way I did, and connect it back. So if you notice at the down part, I didn't make it in a pointed way. I took out 0.25 inch on both sides, which is ½ inch there. So we'll go ahead to impute our horizontal measurements. So the bust measurement we work with is 36 divided by 4, which gave 9 inches. So I marked it there, and the round waist measurement is 30 inches divided by 4, which gave 7.5 inches. Plus 1.5 inch for that intake, which I marked there. So over to the down part, I imputed the measurement, which is 40 inches divided by 4, which gave 10 inches. I marked it there, ignoring the ½ inch that I used for the dart intake. So I joined it this way, and it's time to make our armhole curve. And to do this, I'll come up by 3 inches and I'll go in by 0.3 0.75 inch, and then I'll just curve it this way. So after that, we need to get our neck curve, and to do that, I'll come in from the center front by 3 inches, and I'll go down by 2.5 inches since we are making a turtleneck. So after getting this, we can then curve the neckline and then slant our shoulder. So over to the back, I'll basically repeat the same thing I did for the front to the back area. I'll come in from the center back by 3 inches, and I'll go down by 1 inch. Then I'll connect our neck curve and then slant the shoulder for the back. So I will impute our dart just the same way we did for the front dart. I'll come in from the center back by 3.75 inch, and I'll make it in a straight line by marking it down and marking it upwards as well. And I'll make it in a straight line just the way I am doing it right now. Then after making this in a straight line, we have to take in our dart for the waist area, which is we took in 0.75 inch on both sides of the dart. And after this, now we'll now connect it to mark our dart completely. Then I'm just taking in 0.25 inch on both sides for this part, and this is it right here when I was done connecting it. And what we need to do next is to get our horizontal measurement, and I'm getting the horizontal measurement just the way I did for the front, and I'll connect it side by side. So we need to get our armhole curve, and to do that, I'm going to divide what we have there by 2 and mark it there. Then I'm just going to come in by 0.5 inch, and then I will connect it using that guide. So I'm just going to use my curve to connect it this way I placed it. And after connecting it, this is the armhole curve. So we are done drafting our basic bodice pattern, and we need to tighten our underbust at this point. And to do that, I'll measure what we have on the underbust. Then I'll divide the underbust measurement, which is 30 divided by 4, and it gave me 7.5. And then what is left there is like 1.5 inches. I'm going to share the 1.5 inches on that underbust that's leg, which is what I'm doing at this moment. So I'll connect it downwards just the way I'm doing. Then I'll use this curve to mark it to the bust point just the way I am doing right now. So after doing this now, this is how it looks. I think it's giving us that bustier kind of look. And then we need to get our dart from the shoulder. So I'll divide what I have on my shoulder, and I'll mark in the 2 inches from there. Then I'll make a straight line to connect to the bust point, not directly to the bust point. I came up by ½ inch from the bust point. Then I'm just going to connect it just this way I did now. Then I'm using my marker pen that is red in color so that I can differentiate everything. So we'll measure from the shoulder to the upper bust, and which is 7 inches there. So I use 7 inches. You can go with 6.5 or 7.5 inch depending on how deep you want it to be. So I'll make it then in a straight line just the way I'm marking it right now. Then I'm just going to impute the dart at the upper bust, and I'll mark ½ inch there and 1 inch on this other side. So I had to reduce the 1 inch there. You can actually use 1 inch, but I went ahead to use 0.75 inch instead of the 1 inch I already marked earlier. So I'm just going to connect it this way that I'm doing right now, and connect it to this other side using a straight line. Mind you, I didn't use curved parts. So this is it here. I will mark ½ inch from the center front, ½ inch down, and make it in a straight line just the way I am doing, guys. So after this, I'm just going to give it a curve at the upper part. So I'll use my curved ruler to do this, and I'll connect it this way that I'm doing now. And after connecting it this way, we need to get our neck design, and to do that, I'll come down by ½ inch there, and I'm just going to mark it from there to this other place. So I'm going to use our straight ruler to do this. I'm connecting it this way using a straight ruler. So after connecting it, I need to mark our side bust that place. So if you notice that the back is not the same length to the front, it's 2 inches above the front length just at that part. So we need to take out that 2 inches by the side of the front. So I'm going to come down by 2 inches from the bust line. So I'll mark the 2 inches there and connect it to the bust point just this way that I did now. So this is it here. And using my pattern curve, I'll make a curve at that place. So I'll curve it to the dart leg just this way. But before I make the other side curve, I need to cut out the front pattern. So I'll cut out the front pattern and then close the side darts the way I am doing right now. Then I'll use my masking tape to mask it down, and after this is how it looks. It's already standing, so I'll just make it blend it up at that end, just this way. And after then I will come in by 1.5 inch. The 1.5 inch I came in by is because the size I'm working with is a bit smaller. If you're working with a size 12, size 14 and above, you have to come in by 1 inch, unless you want the bust area very tight. So this is it here. I'm just going to curve it to that 1 inch I've already, to that 1.5 inch I already marked out. And this is it here. Then I'll cut out the dart, and I'm just going to blend it up that place. So this is the whole piece we're going to cut out. Then I'll just use my curve to just make everything blend very well. So before cutting it out, I'll go ahead to label all the piece we have. This is the front yoke, and this is the center front, this is the side front, and this is the bust point there. So I'll come up by 2 inches for the side, just to give the side a little bit of fitting or shape around that side area. So I'll connect it to the dart leg just the way I did now. And after this, now just make sure that everything is well labeled and you've cross-checked your pattern before you will go ahead to cut it out. So I'll go ahead to start cutting my pattern piece out. So I just cut out the dart on the yoke and matched it up this way. Then I'll go ahead to cut out the bust area this way. And this is the whole piece here. This is the side front that I forgot to label. So guys, ensure you label your patterns very well before cutting it out. So this is it here. I'm just going to mask that place up because I don't want it open, and this is it when I was done masking it up. So I will keep this aside, and then we'll move over to the back area. So to the back area, this is the back, and we are just going to come up by 2 inches the way we did for the front side, and I'll connect it to the dart leg this way. And after marking it there, so we need to do some alteration at the back. So we are going to alter the back a little bit, but before then I'll come down from the neckline by 6 inches or 5 inches or 5.5, depending on your choice. And since this dress does not have a modesty panel at the back, I decided to try a new method of doing the back design. So instead of the back coming in 2 or 3 pieces, I decided to make it in one piece. So I'm just going to alter it at this point, and I'm just coming in from the center back by 2.5 inch. You can come in by 2 inch depending on how open you want your back to be. After marking down the 2.5 inch, I'll make it in a straight line just this way, just like withdrawing another dart for this back pattern. So I've marked out the 2.5 inch, and on the waist area I'm going to go in by 0.75 inch on both sides, just the same dart intake we used previously. So after this, I'm just going to connect it just this way that I'm doing right now. So this is it here. So it's just like me moving the dart to another position, and this is just where we're going to cut out this place that I'm marking down now. This is where you're going to cut out. So for the back, so the back is just going to come in one piece. I will come in from that point by 1 inch, and that 1 inch is just going to connect to that 5.5 inch that we initially dropped at that center back. So I'm just going to use freehand sketch or our curve to connect it. So that's the 1 inch there. I'm just going to connect it there. So I'm using the curve right now to connect the points together just this way I'm doing right now. So for the back design, that's the back yoke, I use a zip at the center back as well. So in more videos to come, you'll see how the design looks like. So this is it here, and I'll just go ahead now to cut out the back pattern. So in my opinion, I feel this method can be used if you're not using a modesty panel at the back of your dress. So that's 1 inch there. You can make yours 1.5, 2 inches, and that is just where the eyelet is just going to sit directly at that place I am marking out now. So I'll just go ahead to label it. That's the center back, and this is the back yoke for this pattern, and I will label that as center back, and that becomes the side back for this pattern. So I'll go ahead to finish up the cutting for this particular pattern. So I'll go ahead to finish up the cutting for this particular pattern. So I'll go ahead to finish up the cutting for this particular pattern. So I'll go ahead to finish up the cutting for this particular pattern. So I'll go ahead to finish up the cutting for this particular pattern. So I'll go ahead to finish up the cutting for this particular pattern. So for the back, I didn't want the yoke to join directly to the bodice. I just wanted it to come up a bit and give it a slant look. So I came up by 1.5 inch there, and I'll slant it this way to the 1 inch that we already marked out, just the way I did now. So after this, I will cut out everything I have, and this is it here. That's the up and the down for the back yoke. So I ensure to label my pattern properly to serve as a guide while transferring to fabric. So this is the front and the back pattern all together, and the sides are matching each other. So this is it here, and this is the bust area and the yoke as well. And for the down part of this design, I already have a skirt pattern video. I'll also link it in the description box below or somewhere on the screen so you can go watch it out. So ensure to turn on your notification bell so when I post the sewing video, you will get notified on it. Don't forget to like, share this video, comment below and subscribe. See you in my next video. Bye!